Hello, my name's Craig Peterson. I'm a biology professor at a community college in Southern California, Mount San Antonio College. Let me explain my voice a little bit. I'm not sick, so I'm not contaminating you or the people behind the camera, but what happened is that I developed a cancer on the vocal cord. They thought it was like vocal nodules, and I received a slug of radiation, and that was 25 years ago, and the voice came back and it was good. And then about 9 years ago, I lost the voice again, and this time I had another tumor on the vocal cord, and this was a pretty dangerous area, so they had to do a surgery, and I had 4 or 5 different surgeries, and they did a partial laryngectomy, which means they removed part of a vocal cord. But I was really fortunate because they left me with a voice, although it sounds raspy and like I'm a horse. This would be my normal speaking voice. And in the classroom, I have a microphone. I'm still able to communicate with students, and life is good. Climate change is something that has been on the mind of many people for a long time now. It's become popular in the local media and press because of differences between political parties, one saying that there is climate change and the other not. But it's been around in the literature for numbers of years, and I can remember back when I was in college, they were talking about potential climate change, and there was numbers of researchers going clear back into the 50s and 60s that have really started to measure what we now know as climate change, gases, etc. But to simplify it, another word they use is that of the greenhouse effect, or they use global warming. I sort of use a term called global weirding because what's happening with global warming or the greenhouse effect is that it's altering the climate around the globe. And when you say global warming, everybody thinks it's just going to get hot, but that's not necessarily true. Some places are going to get much hotter, other places are going to get much wetter or much drier. Some are going to get more violent storms, whether they're hurricane or tornadoes, and some places might be getting colder, more storms, and that's why I prefer sort of global weirding to it. But simply, it's the idea of the greenhouse effect, is that when sunlight comes through the glass walls of a greenhouse, it physically changes its frequencies, and light travels in rays, in waves, and it changes the wavelength, and much of the heat cannot get out through the glass itself. And so since it can't get out of the glass, it gets warmer. The same analogy as your car. If you were to roll your windows up in the summer in your car, as in the parking lot during the summer, the car is going to get really hot inside because there's light and heat going in, but it can't escape in the same form because it's a different frequency. And so if you didn't want your car to get warm in the summer, you could bust all the windows out and it would be the same temperature essentially as outside. But it's the glass that is trapping the heat in, more so than just a barrier like a wall, but it physically is changing the wavelength. Well, this thing, that activity is happening on the planet now. And what it is that we've got a very thin layer of atmosphere, and the atmosphere has various gases in it. And some of the gases act to trap in the energy from the sun. And so the ultimate cause, the ultimate result, is that the temperature of the Earth is increasing. And so it's like a greenhouse. It's like sitting in your car in the summer with the windows rolled up. But this time, the very thin layer of atmosphere has what we call greenhouse gases. And there's numbers of them that we're concerned about. And some of them being, carbon dioxide is the real catchphrase one, but also methane is another one. And there's many other too. One of the differences that we talk about in the classes is that the CO2 that you put into the atmosphere now, which is coming a lot from burning of fossil fuels. We're talking about gasoline engines, we're talking about coal burning, we're talking about natural gas burning. Fossil fuels release a lot of carbon dioxide. This makes for this glass layer, this greenhouse gas layer over the surface of the planet, which is causing warming. Well, there's ones like methane too. There's water vapor, also are greenhouse gases. But during the last 100 years, our greenhouse gas, especially like CO2, has increased tremendously. And so that's been a real focal point. But we also have methane gases, which are natural gas. Natural gas is 90, 95% methane,